Om Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's chant the first 3 verses together. Sthulo mam samayo dehaha sukshmasyadvasanamayaha jnana karmendriyais sardham Dhipranau tacchariragau Ajnanam karanam sakshi Bodhastesham vibhasakaha Bodhabhaso buddhigataha Karta syat punya papayoho Sa eva sancharet karma Vashallokadvaye sada Bodhabhasacchuddha bodham vivicyadati yatnataha. Ati yatnataha vivicyat. May one separate how with great effort and with great care may one separate. What is there to separate? Consciousness, as in the example, the sun, and then its reflection. Consciousness is known here by the word chit, and then the reflection is known by the word abhasa, bodhabhasa, nice word. And sometimes also known as chidabhasa. That too will be deployed later on. Same exact meaning. So no need to think that they are being, now there is a third source of something, we have to think about. It's all the same. So this is so between the sun and the reflection in the pot of water, may one separate with great effort and great care. This is a very strange and difficult injunction to follow. And that is why we take recourse to this, to understanding this metaphor. We have to spend some time to look at this, because what is being asked? If we look at, for example, what is this? Pot. Okay? So, may one separate with great care the pot from the clay. May one separate with great effort the pot from the clay. So, in order to do that, what do I do? In one hand, now I am going to make a sankalpa, a conscious, focused intention. And what is that intention? In my right hand, I will hold the pot, and in my left hand, I will hold the clay simultaneously. Not possible. Very, very interesting. So, And thankfully, we are not on our own, because the subsequent verses are going to delineate what this separation means. Because obviously, it's not on the physical level. You cannot separate pot from clay, because if you try to separate pot from clay, what will be left is only some version of clay. Churnam, clay powder, clay shards, clay pieces, whatever it is. Because it is clay, clay, clay all the way. And last time we had talked about how Vedanta is totally one-way street. Pot is clay, but is clay pot? No. Clay cannot be pot, because the clay can be in the form of a beautiful Krishna figurine. It can be in the form of a lid that covers this pot. It can be in the form of another bigger, and potentially from the standpoint of this pot, a more dangerous pot, because it can eat it up. Right? So clay can be in so many forms. And so clay is, in fact, in this example, free of forms, free of names. And it can, as it were, take on many forms, many names simultaneously, without really losing itself. Losing its nature, in the sense that the clay never becomes pot, the clay never becomes lid, the clay never becomes a figurine. Clay is clay, pot is clay. So the separation here is not a physical separation. It's very, very clear. And so what kind of a separation is it? It's a cognitive separation. It's not a physical separation, because that's not possible. And so, what we just saw here is called Pratibimbavada. This concept or theory, if you will, of reflected or as though reflected consciousness. So the sun is that which is the source, which symbolizes the source of all existence, all sentience, all pervasive, limitless, that which simply is without a second, forever, and that which happens to be you, according to the Mahavakyas studied in the Upanishads. That is you. And that is what has to be reclaimed, understood, etc. So, this is that, and in other texts also known as Brahman, derived from the dhatu brih, big, limitlessly big. Brihi vriddhau, derived from that root verb to be limitlessly big. So we have that, and that is illumining everything. That sun is that sun-like, all-pervasive, limitless, unbound consciousness, unconditioned by space, unconditioned by time. Because why? It also illumines space and time. That is something which is very beautiful. And so this is what we call Chit, Brahman, etc. And then what is this Abhasa? Then this sun here, going back to the example, illumines the whole area, including the pot. It illumines the pot and the water in the pot. And then if we look in the water, in the pot, you see a baby sun, so to speak. Baby because the pot is small. If it's a big pot, you will see another sun there, but still it will be a baby sun compared to what is shining in the skies above. So you will see a baby sun. And then we also talked about the nature of the water, the ripples in the water represent the medium of reflection, which is the mind, the antahkarana, the buddhi, etc., all of them. The more the ripples, the more distorted the reflection of the sun is going to be. And similarly, the quality of the water also we touched upon. If the water is turbid, the sun will look cloudy. The sun will look dirty. Is the sun dirty? Not possible, but it will appear. It will have the appearance of being somewhat turbid. This is what is called Pratibimbavada, a very useful tool to understand the manifestation of consciousness in the mind. Why should I focus on the mind? Why not focus on the manifestation of consciousness in the rock or in something else? Because the rock does not complain. That is the only reason. The rock is fine how it is. It doesn't have a whole series of complaints. Oh, what is your complaint? If you ask the rock. If it had a human mind, it would say, other people rock, I don't rock, that is my complaint. It doesn't have that. There is no problem there with the rock. Even with the animals we saw, there is not really a problem. The problem is here with this particular upadhi, this particular name and form called this complex human being. Why complex human being? Full of complexes. That is why. Complex human being is not a, what is it called, compliment, okay? Yeah. Full of complexes. Complex mayam, okay? Because now we know the meaning of maya. So full of complexes. And so therefore, this, and what is this full of complexes means what? The manifestation of the I seems to have, experientially speaking, seems to have a dual nature based on our own experience. There appears to be one I who is fine, who is okay, even when everything around this person is un-okay, not okay at all. The I seem to be okay. When, as we are going to see, in sleep. In sleep the I is fine. No complaints. That's why people love to go to sleep. And no complaints, no credit card debt, no worries about who doesn't like me, who likes me, why, and what are these, when will I learn, and when will I get this knowledge. All these things are not there in sleep. And occasionally also in the waking avastha, in the waking state, some days appear to be very, very blessed. One wakes up in a wonderful place. And one wakes up and one is expansive. Somebody pushes you while you're walking. It's okay, it doesn't matter. And the person is mortified. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. Yes, it's okay, it happens, don't worry. But the very next day, you turn around and growl at them. Correct? So there seems to be one I that appears to be free. Appears to be free of all conditioning, all reflected material, all disturbances, everything. Experientially speaking, this is the dvaita that one cannot stand. This is the duality that one wishes to resolve. So the I that is there appears to be fine. Essentially, I'm okay. And I know I am supposed to be happy. Somehow one knows. Without opening a book on Vedanta, one knows that happiness is my own nature. Everybody knows this. Even pharmaceutical companies know this. That's why they have so many anti-anxiety, antidepressant medicines. They also know this. That this is not yourself. I'm not feeling myself. Oh, okay. How do you know what yourself is without Vedanta? Everybody knows I'm not feeling like myself. Therefore, I go to the doctor, therefore, I go to the psychiatrist, whatever it is, and then I want to correct it. And the correction is possible, thank God, which is wonderful. So this shows that there is some familiarity with this I, even though its nuances and everything may not be known. Not only familiarity, but there is a yearning for the I. This itself makes it very clear that you cannot want or long for something you do not have or you do not know. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. You cannot long for something you do not know exists. When there is a longing, there must be something that you know. So there is that I which is a subject matter of intense longing, relentless longing, life after life after life. And when that longing is not addressed or not channeled properly, then it morphs into longing for various objects, people, situations. We saw that. And so there is that I which seems to be, even in the face of difficult challenges, seems to be okay. And then there appears to be another I, the interloper, the masquerader, the one who is playing a role of a human being, where the problems of the role roll on to the person, and the person, therefore, is miserable. So there is this miserable I, the jiva, the complaining, jaded, faded, and tired, if not retired, jiva, who just wants to give up, but who cannot, because somehow there is an addiction to doing, there is an addiction to doing as a way of being. Doing will never get one to being, but that is the mistake that one makes. This severe addiction is there, and this one is always complaining. Starting with the weather. Too hot, too hot, too hot, too hot, too hot. June to October, this is the complaint. Oh no, cold, 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 cold. So cold. Terrible. Wind chill. And it's 30 degrees but feels like 20. They will say that also. And then this is what it is. Too cold, too cold, too cold. So this is one level of complaint. And of course, everyone around one is not behaving properly, ever. Another level of complaint. One's own mind is a source of complaint. One's own body, of course, is a source of complaint. How many aches and pains? That becomes a topic of conversation. Especially after you cross a certain age. That becomes a wonderful topic of conversation. Yeah. Where are they located? Oh, there. Okay, for me also same places, but a few other extra places also it is hurting and paining. Yeah, because some one-upmanship has to be there, even in the matter of pain. So, this is, these are, it's not just that appear to be two eyes, but then they are completely distinct from one another. One, and the one that one is most familiar with is the one that is experienced constantly, which is a matter of experience. And what do I mean by a matter of experience? Experience here means that, the condition where there is subject-object bifurcation. I, the subject, interacting with everything as objects. And in this scheme of things, certain objects are what? Very dear, extremely dear. And I want to have them, I want to keep them, I want to hold them, I want to have them forever. And certain other objects, I don't want to have anything to do with them. I want to keep them far, far away. Starting with wrinkles. Yeah. Don't want to have them. People, for some reason, are very worried about wrinkles. I don't know why. You won't believe this, but one person came and gave me one bottle. Here, Swamiji, I've noticed that you're getting some wrinkles. Please put this on. It's very, very, very miraculous. Tiny bottle, small one. And, you're sitting there talking to so many people and it doesn't look good, these wrinkles. Not only was the person bothered about their own wrinkles, they were bothered about my wrinkles also. And then, so I was flabbergasted. Never had I had this, experience in my whole life, because I barely thought, I didn't even give a thought about wrinkles, because that comes with age. In a way, it's nice, because every wrinkle is a mark of survival over so many challenges, so many things. It's wonderful. I gave it to somebody and they were very happy to have it. Oh, this particular brand, I forgot what brand. Oh, it is so expensive. Thank you. Le jao. Have fun. So happy to be able to give you this. So the point is, certain things we have to want to keep at bay at all costs. Wrinkles don't want. Grey hair absolutely don't want. That is a matter of concern only if you have hair. Okay? If you don't have hair, you are a vairagi. You have vairagya. Yeah, there is benefit to everything. Everything has benefit. If you don't have hair, what is the advantage? Well, many advantages. You can walk through the hair care aisle in the department store completely asanga. You don't look to the left, you don't look to the right. Hair colors, what is that? Shampoo, moisturizing shampoo for dry hair, don't want. Shampoo for oily hair, don't want. Conditioner, who cares? One is, in a very good objective situation. One can go through all the hair care aisle without any longing whatsoever. See, there are advantages. Everything has an advantage. So this other kind of an interloper I appears to be jumping up and down all the time, appears to be masquerading as, as this, that or the other, appears to be fulfilling many, many roles, while at the same time, all the time, being sad, unhappy, complaining, bored, tired, frustrated, disgusted with oneself and everything. This is the duality. The duality is not anywhere between, the Jagat, between the names and forms in the Jagat. That is not the duality that hurts or harms. It is this perceived or experiential duality within, so to speak, manifest in the antahkarana, where the subject-object difference, which is a benign and an objective difference, because yes, there are certain objects, I am the subject, It need not cause sorrow, but it causes sorrow because of the yearning for certain objects to have closely and the yearning for certain objects to be as far away from one as possible. Another example of an object that one wants as far away from one as possible is COVID. So far away, don't come near me. This is what causes sorrow, and this is why we need, the ways of tools like Pratibimba-vada, which has, I told you last night in the satsang that it has its advantages and it also has its limitations, because we are talking of that which is limitlessly big and we are trying to come up with theories to explain that which is limitlessly big through the language which has its own limitations. That's why the word Atma and Brahman have plural and dual. And so, but still, if we understand that yes, these are certain modalities of looking at things, we can use them very, very wonderfully. And here in verse number 3, we have a nice, verse number 2 and 3, that Bodha Bhasa and Shuddha Bodha. This is a wonderful iteration of the theory of as though reflected consciousness. A lovely iteration, beautiful. And you won't find this even in this clearly explained, even in the Upanishads. Very, very beautiful. So it is helpful to see that the everyday reality that is experienced in the form of subject-object differences that are personally taken. Taken personally means personalized, customized subject-object differences lead to sorrow and fear. Customized means what? Certain things I long for, certain things I don't want. That is what is the customization. So that everyday experienced kind of a reality, in the example of the Pratibimba-vada, are like so many ripples and the dirt in the water, which leads to disturbances in the everyday life. The attempt to merge with certain objects, the desire to be one with certain objects, is actually the desire to be one with Chit consciousness. Is one ever away from Chit? No. But due to Atma Ajnanam, one always thinks one is away from Chit. So the ripples represents various thoughts or vrittis. Vritti has many meanings, many meanings. Vritti can mean livelihood. Vritti can mean mental framework, thoughts. Vritti also means exposition. And in Laghu-Vakya-Vrtti, which meaning should we take? Exposition, unfoldment. Just like even we have a grammar text, Paninian grammar text, Kashika Vritti. We also have an exposition of the Brahma Sutra Vritti. So in that sense we have to take. But here I'm using the word Vritti as so many thoughts. So if we gaze into this pot of water, following this theory of as though reflected consciousness, we see so many ripples. One ripple, I don't like this universe. Another ripple, and there is so many ripples there. Another ripple, I love this, but I'm not getting this. Third ripple, I hate this, but I can't get away from this. That is because of karma, as we saw. And then there is also one more ripple, I know I am. I am aware of myself. That is the Sakshi ripple. I know I am a conscious being. And that one gets aligned with the I notion, the ahankara, and then that ahankara ripple gets aligned with the body, mind, sense complex, and gets in the example we can say it identifies with that ripple, identifies with the nature of the water, the nature of the small neck of the pot, and then takes on these gunas, these attributes onto itself, and thinks of itself as small, useless, and of no good. This is the theory of reflected consciousness. Very, very nice. It helps to explain that despite how the ripple in the I ripple, or you shouldn't say I ripple, the ripple that is aware of itself, the self-aware ripple, the I thought, the ahankara ripple, let's call it, in the pot. Despite how the ahankara ripple, the ego ripple in the pot is feeling at any particular time, associating itself with the container called the pot, with the nature of the water, etc., etc. That is not the entire story. That is not the real story of its existence. Because the sun that is shining is illuminating both the pot and the reflection simultaneously, including the thoughts. Including the thoughts, I am no good, I am an idiot, when will I have this? This is what is being pointed out here. In the Panchadashi, in chapter 8, we have another very brilliant example and a lovely iteration of this. Khaditya deepite kudye darpanaditya deeptivat kutastha bhasito deha dhistha jivena bhasyate. There is a slightly different metaphor. Because after all, after some time one gets tired of sun and pots of water, and each time you say sun and pot of water, the eyes glaze over and nirvikalpa samadhi threatens. Because, the ahankara starts to preen and think, been there, done that, seen this, heard this, okay, I'm not paying attention, I'm going to zone out. So therefore, we have a alternative example. We have a brick wall. Kudya wall. Kha aditya. Kha aditya means kha sun. Kham means space. Sun, space. Aditya sun. So the sun in the sky, space. Deepite kudye. When the sun in the sky illumines this wall, sun in the sky is shining on a wall. This is the idea. So during the daytime, there is a wall, maybe somebody's house compound wall we can take. So there is a big wall, and then you look at the wall, and then you see that it is illumined by the sun. Then somebody is, there is a child, let us say, who has a small handheld mirror who is going like this in front of the wall. What do you see? Some dancing lights, orbs, the size of the mirror, just playing upon the wall. Very beautiful here. Another beautiful example of the theory of as though reflected consciousness. Now my question to you is, are there two lights? No. Because the little orb mirror or a piece of glass, whatever it is, the mirror which is casting its reflection on the wall is dependent upon the sun. But what do? We forget the sunlit wall completely. We take that for granted. And we get distracted and completely take the orb of shining light on the brick wall as something discrete, separate. Then we can make this game even more interesting. We can have many children holding many orbs, and then it becomes interesting, not only interesting, chaotic. In fact, you can feel the anxiety if you identify with one of the orbs. The other orb is coming too close to me. No, get away from me. This is my space. Two orbs are fighting, and then other two orbs are going for a walk. They are friendly. Like this. All the while forgetting that these shiny objects that are playing their roles, that are playing their little game of dance, game of catch, are all dependent on that sun in the sky, because of which the wall is illumined and because of which the orbs are illumined. So now it becomes, at least conceptually, a little bit easier to separate, to follow this injunction, vivicyat atiyatnatah. With great care and with great effort, may one separate. What is there to separate? Chidabhasa and Chit. Or to use this, the words in the thing, Bodha Bhasa and Shuddha Bodha. Bodha Bhasat Shuddha Bodham Vivicyat Atiyatnatah. With great care, may one separate, may one differentiate. How? Not literally, conceptually. So, at least conceptually, we understand that even though I am identified with this little orb playing on this wall, but really speaking, that body-mind-sense complex with which I am identified is itself illumined by a source that is really ultimately the I that I long to be, the I that I want to be. In fact, the I that I already am, but I am separated from due to ajnanam. Ignorance is the separating factor between the I that I want to be and the I that I think I am. Further, Jagarasvapnayoreva Bodhabhasa vidambana. Jagarasvapnayoreva Bodhabhasa vidambana. Suptau tu tallaye bodhaha Shuddho jadyam prakashayet. Suptau tu tallaye bodhaha Shuddho jadyam prakashayet. Yeah. So here he gives a very helpful indicator to look at when is it that Chidabhasa, this little orb that is playing its, little life, when is this Chidabhasa in operation and when is Chit in operation vis-a-vis this body-mind-sense complex. A very helpful indicator. These indicators are in verses. Which verse did we just read? 4, and then the next one also 5. They will be talked about. So in verse number 4, we have a very interesting example here, not even an example, an interesting observation. So what is the observation? Jagara means in the waking state, swapnayoho. In the waking state and the dream state. In the waking state, A and B, in the dream state, we find that bodhabhasa, the abhasa, chidabhasa, the little orb, is active. And the word active or activity is indicated by the very beautiful word here, vidambana, masquerading, imitating. Because after all, what is this mirror doing? It's imitating the sun. I'm no worse than the sun. Look at me. Look at me. In the waking state, and we'll just understand the meaning first. So in the waking state, jagara swapnaha, swapnayoho. In the waking and the dream states, the chidabhasa is active. It is busy illumining things. It is busy jumping, dancing, playing, hearing, sleeping, eating, running, and doing all things. But then why in the dream state? Because in the dream state also there is activity. There is a lot of mental activity. All the desires and the karmas that cannot be expressed in the waking state are expressed in the dream state. All the longings come out in the dream state. Somebody told me that they had this recurrent dream of winning the lottery. Yeah. Recurrent dream. So I got interested. I said, oh, please tell me the dream. It's the same dream always. So what is this dream? Well, I have bought the ticket and then I'm accidentally throwing it away and then, it just escapes from my hand. There is a wind and it's going like this and I'm running after it with great difficulty. I catch it before, of course, somebody else catches it and I then grab it from the hand, keep it safely. And then on the day that they announce the numbers, every number matches. OMG. Every number matches, everything matches. Yay! And then what? I go to get the check to the place. I present myself with identification, with the ticket, everything. And I get the check. And just before they hand me the check, I wake up. Yeah. So the dream karma, the dream punya, the punya which gives rise to the dream is good enough for the check, but not good enough to cash it or to see the spoils, even in the dream. So there is a lot of activity. The person runs after the ticket, the person buys the ticket, then the ticket escapes from the hand and then is lost for some time and the person finds it. All this is what? This is the activity, the realm of activity. See, whenever we talk about activity, we have to think chidabhasa. Like the shining orb, the mirror on the wall. The wall is still, the sunlight is still, no change, unchanging. And the activity, the jumping, dancing, running, catching, losing, going to the bank, crying, sitting and crying. All this is the realm of chidabhasa, whether you experience it in the waking state or in the dream state. Whereas, tu means whereas. I thought tu means you, that's in Hindi, okay, yeah. So here it means whereas. Whereas, suptau means in sleep. In sleep that is not punctuated by dream. Okay, here in the Shastra, we make a difference between dream and sleep. So, Suptau, in deep sleep, let us say, what happens? Suptau tu tat laye. What is this tat? This tat is bodha bhasa. The bodha bhasa also gets tired, of jumping around, running around all day, etc. And in sleep, the bodha bhasa is not active. Can you tell me why? The mind is in a causal state. The mind is not awake. So the mind is what here in the Pratibimbavada, what is the mind? The reflecting medium. The reflecting medium is not awake, is not available. So even though the reflection may be taking place, there is no cognizance of that. So there is no awakening to that. The reflecting medium is not aware, is not awake. And so the reflection is as though withdrawn in sleep. That's why there is no problem in sleep. No activity in sleep, including mental activity, no problem in sleep. When you sleep, you don't have problems. In fact, that's why we recommend sleep. Because when you sleep, other people also don't have problems from you. This is another advantage of sleep. It assures domestic, household peace. So, in sleep, there is moksha, Advaita, fantastic. That's why people love to sleep in Vedanta classes, because after all they want Vedanta in everyday life. Experienced Vedanta everybody wants. So in sleep, there is moksha. There seems to be only one source that illumines sleep. That is Chit. There is no other alternative masquerading going on. No one-upmanship, no misery, no sorrow, no dvaita. Suptau tu, whereas in sleep, tatulaye, when this abhasa, the vidambana, the masquerader goes to sleep. Who is the masquerader? Ahankara, associated with this light of consciousness. Taking itself to be everything. That ahankara, the I notion which projects a parallel reality. Like even the wall, which is sunlit, and then the parallel reality are these glass or mirror orbs, shining. Another light, not to be outdone. Very, very nice. So, suptau tu tallaye bodha, then what happens? Shuddha prakashayet. The Shuddha bodha, or the consciousness that is unconditioned by name, form, upadhi. Upadhi means any kind of a content and, container, such as the mind, the antahkarana, etc., etc. This illumines. In sleep, only the Chaitanya, the Chit, illumines. Okay? But the very important question, what does it illumine? What on earth can it illumine? Jadyam. It illumines nothing in particular. Jadyam, timira, ignorance. It illumines the absence of the abhasa. And to go back to the 8th chapter of the Panchadashi, we have these two sources of light. Let us say the child that is shining the mirror in front of a sunlit wall gets tired of this game, goes to sleep. then what is the sun illumining? Just the plain wall, free of any kind of modifications, free of jumping lights, free of dancing lights, free of everything. Why? Because the light here, the quote-unquote alternate source of light, there is not alternate source of light, but that has stopped functioning for the time and it has resolved. That is laya. In the resolution of this reflecting medium in the form of the mind, what shines is only the sun. So you see the wall free of any other conditioning, free of other upadhis. So this is one way to distinguish when Chidabhasa is active, A, and B, when Chit is active. No fair. Why? Because if I have to understand that there is no Dvaita, I have to go to sleep. Then what is the point of coming to Gurukulam and then going to sleep in the middle of Vedanta class? May as well sleep at home. May as well go to sleep at home. If sleep is equal to moksha, then I'm doing a great job. No problem at all. No problem. And even if supposing somebody says, I don't get good sleep, there are lots of aids. You can get so many things. Starting with, melatonin. All these things you can take. And then go to sleep. And then in sleep you don't see it, you don't experience it, because what do you experience in sleep? Nothing. And that is what here, because that is what is talked about here, it illumines nothing. And to that we have to say nothing else. We have to add a little else, other than itself. It is self-illumining eye that illumines nothing other than itself. Meaning, in sleep, we have a subject-object separation, a total absence of the subject-object separation. The subject-object distinction is not there. Why? Because the mind, the ahankara, the buddhi, etc., the antahkarana, that relates to the jagat in the form of the subject is in a causal situation. It has withdrawn. It is not active. So it is not shining the light, the borrowed light, on to any other thing. That's why sleep is so beloved. Shuddha bhasaha, what? Jadyam prakashayet. Shines the light in sleep, shines the light on the state of non-separation between the subject and object, nothing in particular, and shines the light on not knowing anything in particular. Illumines even the absence of activity, illumines the ignorance in sleep. Upon waking, the Chidabhasa picks up from where it left and says, oh, I was asleep. That's the next best thing to saying I am asleep, because it cannot say I am asleep. It is not there to cognize the sleep. It says, I was asleep. So, sukham aham aswapsam. I slept very well. How do you know? Nakinchid avedisham. I did not know anything at all. Oh, there was an atom bomb? I was not aware at all. I slept so well. Oh, somebody came to the door? I was not aware. Oh, pakodas were made? I was not aware. Where are they? They're all eaten up? I was not aware. Unaware of any kind of sensory perceptions. Ears and eyes, tongue, everything is in a state of laya, repose. Very, very interesting. Now, this Shuddha means consciousness, right? That consciousness, which is like the sun, which is there, and it is there. It is there. Now, when does it go to sleep? Do the Chidabhasa and the Chit take turns, like shift work? Huh? When does Shuddha Bodha, when does it go to sleep? Never. Never. See, that is why the sun example is so limited. Because as soon as in any place night falls, then we are left to explain that limitation. Because the sun is subject, at least perceptually, to setting, rising, etc. But here, consciousness, or what is described in the text as Shuddha Bodha, is talked about as never, ever, ever going to sleep. Another name for this is called Alupta Drik. Drik means seer. We have a text, Drik Drishya Viveka, seer, seen, Viveka, discrimination. And so there, Drik means seer. Alupta means the non-absent seer. You can visualize the Atma, consciousness, the I, as a pair of eyes without lids. No eyelids, like this. Why not eyelids? Because even when you blink, there is a nanosecond of not seeing. Which is what, children take advantage of. And that's why the parents will say, I just blinked and the fellow was gone. So there is no blinking possible because you can visualize it, at least conceptually, as a pair of eyes without having any lids. No lids. Always seeing. Never ever absent. Always the same, unchanging, unaffected, and also does not self-combust. This is very important. It gets tired of seeing things and then it gets tired of itself and then it just self-destructs. No. Why? It is Ananta, not subject to destruction, not subject to change. It is Sat. It is always there, it is always existent. Because it is existent, all other little Chidabhasas can have their little show. And it never withdraws, it is not subject to sorrow, and it is always there. But again, that doesn't answer our question. If we are supposed to sleep in order to have moksha, then is there any hope? That is answered in the next verse. Let us look at that. Jagare pidhiyastushnim bhavashuddhena bhasyate dhivyaparascha chidbhasyaha chidabhasena samyuta jagare pidhiyastushnim bhavashuddhena bhasyate dhivyaparascha chidbhasyaha lost my place here, yeah. Chidabhasena samyuta. So thankfully there is hope. Why? Jagare api. Even in the waking state. One can encounter occasionally this consciousness unconditioned by the mind. Oh, thank God. When Dhiyaha tushnim bhavaha. Tushnim bhavaha means the silence in the mind. The silence in the buddhi. Now this is a very difficult proposition because my buddhi is never silent. People can rightfully complain. The silence in the buddhi is illumined by what is here called chit, shuddha bodha. Consciousness unmediated, unconditioned by the mind, by all other upadhis. When the mind, when the buddhi, when the antahkarana is tushnim, silent. That silence is illumined by this chit. Like in meditation. One, let us say, achieves a non-thinking state or trains the mind to not have thoughts in particular, and so therefore in a state of samadhi. And then to whom is this samadhi evident? That person. And how is this samadhi evident? The samadhi becomes evident not by mental activity, because there is no mental activity here. That state of samadhi becomes evident by that chit, the light of chit. But then as soon as it becomes evident, chit bhasa is active and it says, I had a wonderful samadhi. We don't even have to go so far as samadhi, because that is again a difficult concept. We can even think about just a meditation where you are chanting Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. What is happening? So there is Chidbhasa, the abhasa, Chidabhasa is the mind is active in the form of the chant. Chidabhasa, shining the orb of Om Namah Shivaya. In the first Om Namah Shivaya, second Om Namah Shivaya, again you welcome the Chidabhasa, you are aware of the presence of the Chidabhasa. Third Om Namah Shivaya, fourth, and so on. But then, what is happening between the places between the chants? Between Om Namah Shivaya number 1 and Om Namah Shivaya number 2, what is going on? No chant. Chant, followed by no chant, followed by chant, followed by no chant. So in chant, is there the presence of consciousness? Yes. Plus there is Chidabhasa as well, because there is activity. And in no chant, what is happening? Only Chit. The Abhasa is suspended. Chant consciousness is, no chant consciousness is, then again chant consciousness is, no chant consciousness is. So nice. Thank God, even in the waking state, this is available, so that I don't have to sleep my way through moksha, and this is a very good news. So, this is what is talked about. In the second line, this is made even more clear. Dhi vyaparaha, the activities of the mind, the buddhi, the activities of the buddhi, and then cha, and the activities of the buddhi, what happens, are illumined. Chidbhasyaha. So the activities of the mind are illumined, then Chidabhasena samyuta. So the activity of the mind are illumined by Chit and Chidabhasa together, and the no activity of the mind is illumined by Chit alone. Is that clear? Say yes even if you don't want to. Because we'll come back and look at it in detail. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.